you can't address all of the problems, the long-term problems of Social Security and Medicare. And frankly, these are issues that states are facing as well, until you bring the issue of retirement into the equation. I want to emphasize again, it's not just a benefits discussion, it's also a workforce discussion. Employers have got to get used to the concept that they're going to have people over time working longer. And it starts with sort of creating expectations. You know, people going into the workforce, they still think, you know, 65 is the magic number. And really it's a random magic number that we picked in the early 30s because that's what Germany was using. We tend to focus on the age and not on the issue of adequacy at all. In fact, way too little folks in terms of their own retirement analysis do not spend the time to analyze how much do they need to achieve the retirement that they're hoping for. A lot of the media around this tends to be completely unrealistic. There are commercials where you see, you know, the number, and they're in excess of $1 million, and frankly, they can be somewhat negative in terms of the impression they make, because for an average person, it's a completely unrealistic number, and frankly, it's a number they don't really need. You know, I think we need to, as an industry, do a better job of conveying what adequacy really means. We tend to focus on, you know, from a company standpoint, the investment industry tends to focus on the wealthier folks because that's who they're targeting, and so they focus on larger numbers. For average working Americans are completely unrealistic, but they give the impression not only to average folks but also to policymakers in DC that you need, you know, in excess of $1 million to live comfortably in retirement, and that's just not right. Most Americans need only need a much lower number, and we need to kind of educate folks about it. We don't do that. You know, we don't actually talk about, you know, how much you should be focused on. We talk about, you know, savings rates and percentages. There's a lot of conversation in our industry talking about you need to save in the aggregate between what the employer matches and what you're saving, around 10% of your pay. And I'm not saying that that's is a bad approach, because it's simple. But the reality is we also need to focus on what people should be looking to target from on the back end, so that they know that they can, it's achievable. And frankly, with 401ks, even in the absence of defined benefit plans, most of the modeling that has been done has clearly demonstrated that if you've got a 401k and you participate throughout your working life, you can absolutely achieve a very sizable percentage of your final average pay in terms of replacement income. It can be an effective retirement program. On the back end, we also need to work on helping people do a better job managing this nest egg. How do they do it effectively? What's the sensible approach to draw down the assets of retirement? Managing lifetime income. Those are things, again, as an industry, we need to do a better job. We tend to be focused on saving. We tend to be focused on getting people to accumulate money in their accounts. We need to spend more time helping people figure out what they need and how to manage it when they're retired.